art of war, as they say. You need to know your enemy.
Hello everyone. Hi Ajit.
Hello Sherin, apa khabar?
I am doing great, but you know what? We're back with our 7th episode of HR Intervention Season 4. But you know
Seven
what?
really?
7 and Season 4, not Season 1, not first episode. And you know what? I'm feeling a little bit nervous today.
Why? Ayo.
But I know I'm excited because we're going to have all these wonderful people joining us who have already joined us, and I know I'm going to get all their energy. So I'm actually very excited lah. I'm excited to have them all here today. And you know what? We're going to be having an interesting discussion. And we can't wait to bring on the speaker in just a bit because he is an amazing one. Okay, that's a giveaway. It's a him today. But first, a little reminder for you guys, this is a live show, so feel free to interact with us. I know I keep saying this over and over again, although it's episode 7, but we will always love to hear comments from you guys. So first of all, let's start and know who is here today. Let us know a hello because we cannot see you and we cannot hear you until you say hello. And let us know where are you tuning in from today, all right? Over to you,
Yes.
Ajit.
Okay, for those who are having lunch, do share with us what are you having, and like what Sherin said, please do let us know where you're tuning from, any part of the world, and do say hi to us. For those who know us, okay. Before we start our session here, allow me to elaborate a little bit about our show. We are known as hashtag HR Intervention. Hashtag, don't forget. Commonly known as hashtag HRTV, is an online talk show presented by Compass Mind Asia, a renowned corporate training provider. In our previous episode, we have engaged many various discussions with various HR experts pertaining to many topics related to career development, related to stress, related to many other topics as well. So for those of you who are, this show is actually meant for whoever is looking for a job, who has a job, whether he's a freelancer or business owner, fresh graduate, or anybody, especially those who are in a HR seat. This show relates to you. Okay.
Definitely it's for you. And I already see someone so sweet there. He says, "Hi, pretty Sherin and handsome Ajit." That is Theo. Hi, Theo.
Hi, Theo. Welcome to the show.
Very sweet, he. So, we already finished 3 seasons in the past year, actually, where we talked about things around agile HRBP, succession planning, also engagement, team engagements, burnout, like Ajit mentioned just now, stress management, many other interesting topics. And interestingly, a lot of companies have used this kind of this YouTube channel as their learning library in the company. So if you want to know more about the previous channels, because there have been many good industry leaders who have spoken, you go to my YouTube channel, and I think it'll be in the ticker below, which is Sherin Kelly. All right.
Right.
So,
Correct.
but please don't go now. Go after the show. We want you here now. Theo, don't leave.
Okay, for those who are tuning on today, please do let us know a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what you're doing, which part of Malaysia, whether you're calling from Kuala Lumpur, Johor Bahru, Penang, Kuantan, Malacca, or even if you're from Singapore, from anywhere, do let us know where you're calling from. And do drop us hellos, and any emoji will also be nice. Okay, before we move on, my name is Ajit. I am a HR practitioner in Malaysia. I got about 25 years of experience with me, and with me I have Shireen.
Shireen, I'm Shireen Kelly, the Managing Director of Compass Mind Asia. And we, both of us, Ajit and I, would like to welcome you to HR Intervention Season 4, Episode 7. You know what, Ajit?
Yes.
It is the Merdeka month, and as the promo video was going on, I thought I could sprint and go and get my Merdeka flag. But by the time I went to the door, I heard it was finishing already. I wouldn't have made it back, then the seat will be empty, And I have anak Malaysia. And especially our Olympics just ended, right? So I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate our national athletes for winning and even participating in the Olympics. I don't think I would have gone lah.
And many records were broken, despite us getting 2 bronze, get fantastic achievement, but many records were broken. We have improved our standings and our records. It's a great achievement for Malaysia.
Definitely. It's really, truly heartwarming to see the whole country unite to give support to our athletes. I mean, there's always that lovely time where everyone just comes together, Right?
Correct.
Hey, we have Nexus Ace join us. Okay.
Yep. Hi Ace. Nexus Ace. Okay, we have to find out.
What's your name? Let us know your name. Nexus Ace, who's that behind there?
Okay. Okay, correct, Shireen. Sports unite us, and sports is really unique, and it's a very special, and of course Malaysia Independent Day 67. We are now Malaysia 67 years old. Okay, we are celebrating. Do you know that, Shireen?
I didn't consciously think about it, but now that you mentioned it, wow.
Yeah, wow. Okay.
Wow.
Let's talk a little more about Olympics, and today I'm a little bit excited. I want to talk more about the show. Shall we bring our speaker, or shall we introduce our speaker first, Shireen?
I think so. And you know what? We know who Nexus is Dr. Chantiran. Hi, Dr. Chantiran, friend of Shankar. Welcome to the show.
Welcome.
So I don't want to keep you waiting, Dr. Chantiran, because we are definitely waiting for Shankar to come on. So let me introduce a little bit to our audience today about the speaker. He has over 30 years of leadership in multinational organizations. Shankar is a global HR leader specialist in startups and transformational projects. That's why we're talking a little bit about being a global leader. It's quite interesting, the work time and stuff like that. Currently, as the VP of HR at Lumiled, he drives global talent growth, transformation, and change management across LED operations and worldwide R&D. He is also a 𝗏𝗃𝗃 certified change practitioner, applying proven methodologies for successful outcomes. Shankar has a lot of track record of creating value through employee experience, operational excellence, and customer satisfaction. He has led startups and shared services in Malaysia, including Clarivate, IHS Market, Dell, and Western Digital. These are names that you have heard in the market a lot, isn't it? Achieving significant growth and efficiency in those companies. His passion lies in coaching and mentoring employees to reach their maximum potential and align their goals with the organizational vision. Please give thumbs up and heart, and let's welcome Shankar Nagalingam. Woohoo!
Hello, hi everyone.
Hey.
Hi,
Hi, Shankar.
Sharon.
Welcome, welcome.
So
So
Welcome,
the
nice to
Shankar.
see you all. You guys are so energetic, so vibrant, right? I just feel that the whole computer is just shaking up while you are talking, but it's just lovely. It's just not the normal, stereotype kind of a session, right? Where everything is so structured, boring, right? But, just love the zest in you guys.
we like
Good, good.
fun.
Yes, and you know what? The energy is all Shireen. I'm the boring one.
Yeah,
Shireen brings in all the energy.
I tend to focus on Shireen every time she speaks, right? It's like I don't know where she gets the energy from. It's just awesome, Shireen.
Correct,
But of course,
correct, correct.
Ajit, you and I tumpang the energy, lah, right? Shireen
Yes,
is really great at energizing all the participants, right, including us.
correct,
Actually,
correct.
I get energy from you guys and all the
Really?
audiences.
No,
So,
Shireen. Actually, Shireen, I need to make a statement. You are in the right business. You're doing team building. You are able to transform the energy to your participants. You are doing the right thing.
okay, I won't click on that. That one. I say thank you.
Yes, now we are rattling. Okay, let's go back to Shankar. Shankar is our star today. Okay, welcome, Shankar. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. How are you, Shankar? How are you? Have you been doing?
Doing very well. Thank you to, both you and Shireen for inviting me. I, definitely was looking forward for this session. More sharing, right? No rocket science, but sharing all my experiences. But definitely looking forward for the session.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you. And we are also eager to learn more about you. Okay, before we move on, maybe you want to share a little bit about yourself, probably covering a little bit about your hobbies or any current projects that you're doing, personal projects that you're managing, what part of work.
Ah, right. That was not planned for, but Shireen started off by saying I have 30 years of experience. I felt suddenly like everybody will be counting how old I am, right? But for me, I think experience, experience doesn't really matter. Yeah, thank you. Experience really doesn't matter, but it's really more about the value we add as the HR practitioner that really matters. But I'm always whatever experience we have, I always believe that every day is a learning journey. We continue to learn, we continue to enhance ourselves, and we learn from everyone. And I continue to learn from every individuals in the organizations and the people that I interact with. Right. If you ask me what my hobby is. I'm actually when I have free time, I just love to be a couch potato, just do nothing. Yeah, just couch potato, sit down there, just do nothing. Because at office, you do conference calls, you take the calls. Even if when I get back home and the phone is ringing next to me, I just refuse to take the phone. Right, you just want to do nothing, and that's what I really enjoy doing. Like I said, I love to do, and I'll continue to enhance myself. I've just recently completed my advanced clinical hypnosis, right? And people
Wow.
ask me, why do you do clinical hypnosis? I said, that, it's about curiosity, right? I love mentoring and coaching. Why not you use, you do, get into clinical hypnosis, and you know what? I can hypnotize you guys to solve your problems as well. And of course, I've enrolled myself to do DBA, and people ask me at this age, you still want to learn. I was like, why not, right? There's never an ending to actually get, to understand what DBA is all about, because it's really enhancing our knowledge. Um, I
Wait,
think this is the first time doctor in business administration.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do a PhD because I would say that PhD is more of a permanent hit damage, because then you need more discipline in that. So I do more of a DBA, which you still get the DR, but it's very much industry focused.
Yeah.
And this is the first probably announcement that I'm making. I always had a passion of writing a book. I'm going to complete my book, and hopefully that will be published probably by next year. It's going to be very interesting. It's about sharing my knowledge, sharing about my experiences experience, and just hopefully people will be able to enjoy reading and also reflect, right? Self-reflection. So look out for something that is going to be coming up by end of next month.
I'm just
Wow,
next month or next year.
End of next month. So
Awesome.
looking forward to it, but love to share some of the details. But coming soon.
Okay,
wow.
really look forward to it.
He's
I
like
mean,
a rock
as
star,
well,
man.
experience you
No,
carry with you, there'll be so much to learn. So we look
thank
forward.
you.
Once you all let me know, I'm going to put it on my LinkedIn also. Let all my connections also know. This one, everyone must follow.
Yeah,
Definitely.
he's doing his clinical psychology. He is doing his DBA and he's writing a book. Oh, Shankar, tell me, where do you get the time? Where do you find time to do all this?
Sometimes I wonder, but it's like an electric cat, right? When I don't have anything, I'm so fidgety, and that's
Hmm.
why I just it's all the passion, right? When you have the passion, you will find your own ways, right? And people ask me how to do it. I said, sometimes you just have to get into it, go do it, because time
Yeah,
doesn't wait for us.
True lah.
correct, correct, correct.
We
Yeah.
all
Passion,
only have
passion.
24 hours in a day. If only
Yeah,
we can have extra, but we all only
more
have 24.
hours.
Now we need to learn from you, Shankar, how you do it all.
Okay,
Even
we have got many.
is
We have
amazing.
we have got many people who are signed in. Ayu saying hi, Arina saying hi, HRTV. We have got Eng Cheng Neo saying hi, Ajit, Shireen, and Shankar. Hello, everybody. Welcome. And then we have Anuradha saying amazing. Yeah, amazing, right? She agrees with me. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on to the topic. Okay, trends are consistently evolving, and HR is no exception. Now you can't deny that. Okay. In today's episode, we are going to explore the latest HR trends with the topic of digital evolution and human revolution. So it's evolution and revolution. Okay. And HR roadmap to employee retention and cultivating tomorrow's skills today. Okay, during the first time when we did our people and culture event, sometime January, if you recall, Shankar and Shireen, if you recall, when we launched our people culture event, we touched a little bit about employee experience. And I recall that Shankar brought up a topic about employee retention, which was very, very interesting. He spoke about many
Actually,
concepts and things and got the audience very excited. So today we are just trying to build on that topic. We always wanted to get Shankar to come and speak much earlier, but the time did not permit. So now we have this, and let us dwell together deeper onto what Shankar has done, or how he does employee retention, and how he creates employee experience at his place. Okay, so without further ado, let's get started, Shireen. Let's start.
awesome.
Let's
Yeah.
start
I think,
pushing Shankar with questions.
yeah, man.
Yeah.
I'm definitely
I'm
going to
putting
ask you so much.
my vest. I'm putting my vest so that I don't get shot too much. Yeah.
Shankar, we just want to learn from you, and that's why we got so many guests attending today because they all want to hear from you. So I'm definitely going to ask you the first question in line with, because so many changes are happening in the HR. And I thought, so let's start with the area of embracing shift in the HR. So here comes my first question. With digital evolution rapidly transforming the workplace, how can HR leaders effectively balance, do the balancing act, balance the integration of technology with the human aspect of the work?
Yeah, I think one very important thing that HR practitioners need to be really embracing themselves is really embracing the shift, right? We can't deny the fact that technology has just come in front of us, right? About 1.5 years ago, you have the Chat GPT, you have the many of the AIs just came forward, and it just stormed us just like a tsunami, right? And today, not only HR but everyone is continuing to utilize AI in terms of their job. Now, I personally, at least over the last 1 year, has been actively involved in learning about AI. And I think one very important thing to note is what is more important is how AI works, how it can actually help you in your role, and more importantly, how do you do prompting. The future roles in HR will probably be a prompt engineer, right? And it took me almost about a year to basically sort of Google in the right intelligent way so that the AI will be able to uh, at least give you some fast responses. And I must admit that something that took me more than 2 or 3 days to prepare a senior executive presentation, you know what, I can actually do it in 30 minutes, right? With all the requirements and all the prompting that we actually put in, the right prompting as well. And that's why I think that it's important that HR practitioners start embracing and understanding how AI works. Use AI for your benefit, right? A lot of people use AI blindly, right? Especially students in the university, assignments and tutorials and thesis. With a click of a button, you get AI, but that's where they get stuck, right? You need to use AI as just as a guidance, and then you utilize your experience, your business acumen, skill sets, and put things accordingly. So from a HR standpoint, AI can be utilized in many of the HR processes, right? For example, in recruitment, in onboarding and employment engagement, and even in performance management, right? And when we use recruitment, right, for example, in the past, whenever there's any open jobs available, right, there will be hundreds and hundreds of resumes, and we just have to screen through all the credentials, right? And right now, we are fortunate. We have many job boards out there, LinkedIn, and so on and so forth. But what can even AI even do? Now, I've also spoken to some of my colleagues in HR, right? Now, there are even AI that actually connects all the job boards. You basically tell the AI that, hey, you know what? This is the kind of candidate I need. This is the kind of skill sets that I need. And I want you to actually scan through all the job boards, including all the positions, including all the people that you have. And these are the characteristics of the people I have that I need. Give me the top 3 candidates based on all my characteristics, right? You can also include what are the features that the hiring managers are looking for. What are the characteristics of the hiring managers? And you know what? With the click of a button, the AI will be able to provide you with the top 3 or 5 candidates, and it will rationalize, right, why these candidates are selected. And from an HR practitioner standpoint, speed is important, right? Of course, there's no biasness involved. When we are looking through screening through credentials, there's biasness and so on. So this is actually a very fair way of getting credentials. And voila, you get the whole information. Go to the business leader. You are able to strategically even say, this is my candidate number 1, candidate number 2, candidate number 3, and these are reasons why I think this person should be considered, right? And that is why I'm saying that things have changed and evolved tremendously over the last couple of months. And believe me, I'm not going to mention the job board, but you can actually scan through all the job boards, and it's probably 40-50% cheaper than most of the job board, right? So it's cost effective, it's efficient, right? And that's why AI is actually being utilized, in recruitment. Now, a lot of companies also used AI for onboarding, right?
Yeah.
And I remember in my previous company, we actually used, to create that onboarding experience. Um, the world has gone very, very competitive, right? We have when every countries we have presence in HR. There's a lot of HR people, and then when new hires come in, you have a group of HR folks, doing all this onboarding exercise and so on. But when we are really crunched we need to focus on cost. We need to move from a high touch environment to a high tech with high touch, right? So high touch to a high tech with high touch.
Yeah.
So that is where I think with AI coming in and so on, the focus is how do we maintain the customer experience or employee experience with the technology, right? So that's where I think it's very important that for onboarding, we actually streamline the onboarding processes across the world. New hires receive consistent information and training materials, and you can actually tailor a great onboarding experience on new hires roles, departments, and all prior knowledge, right? And many companies have actually utilized this, and they have actually gone through a hybrid approach. Like I said, right, they reduce the number of people who have to do all this, but you actually utilize AI to connect with potential new hires, right? And it's a balancing act, right? Um, I would say that technology can be used for efficiency, right? But you still, human interaction is still important because we continue to use, we as human beings, right, for empathy, from an empathy standpoint, and for us to make complex decision making. So that is where I think we need to have a balancing act, and we need to review through. But utilizing AI is just phenomenal. It helps us to be more efficient, but we can then focus on being more empathetic, and also focus on making the right rational decision for the company.
Correct, correct.
It's
I
like
like.
you spend that time, like you say, you used to take 3 days for management presentation, and now it takes you 30 minutes. So the rest of the time is
Anyways.
really having hands-on empathy with the people and stuff. In fact, I give you an example also. This one will be off topic. So we had a girls trip to Bali. I used ChatGPT. Within 3 seconds, I had a whole itinerary. So it's really creating the right prompt. And all. People are like, wow, you so Rajin, you draw up a whole itinerary for us. It needs the human touch to change things. And then it looks like, wow, you really did an amazing job. So yeah, thanks for that, Shankar.
Most
Yep, yep.
Ajit, over to you.
Yep, fantastic. I like the part where he said it's not about human touch, it's about tech plus touch. So there must be two,
Yeah.
two elements of it. Thank you very much.
The
Thank
two
you.
high
Okay,
touches.
for the audience, just a gentle request. I mean, a reminder: if you have any questions, feel free to throw your questions in. We will pick your questions up and we will channel it to our expert today, Shankar. But before that, let me bring our attention to a very interesting topic: unlimited leave policy. Yeah. Now, maybe Shankar can explain a little bit about the policy, a little bit of how it's implemented. But my question would be, the concept of unlimited leave is gaining popularity in many organizations, but it can be challenging to implement. What were the key consideration when implementing this? How was it useful to you guys?
So when we spoke about, when I brought up this topic about unlimited leave, right, to the management team, they probably gave you a look that they would just like to kill you immediately, right? What are you talking about, right? And
Yes.
especially in an environment that is manufacturing, everything is so structured, right? And I was like, guys, right? I think it's the world has evolved, world have changed, right? We need to empower our team members. We need to make sure that they continue to take charge of their own careers, right? And one of the biggest issue that we had is, at least in manufacturing environment, is we give them leave they don't even take. Every year they will carry forward, right? And that doesn't make sense, right? And that's when we said that no more carrying forward, because mindfully, right, providing leaves in an organization is cost to the company. Think about, let's say an average employee actually is entitled for 14 days of annual leave. If you take that 14 days and let's say you have 100 people in the organization, 14 days times 100, you need to accrue that leave, because when people go on leave, you need to pay overtime, someone needs to do the job. This is considered paid leave, right? So as we report from a financial standpoint, we need to report all this out. So when we have unlimited leaves, that is unlimited leaves, number one, the benefit of the company is instantaneously, you don't even have to cost this out into your financial books. So if you're a large company, you actually save millions of dollars. But on the
Agree.
positive note, from an employee standpoint, everyone is actually empowered to decide to take on the leave. Of course, when I say empowered, they still need to apply for leave, because we still need to track where people are, right? And they're empowered to take leave, but there is no limit, right? I remember in my early days when I'm growing, when I'm growing in my career, that 14 days is never enough, right? 18 days is never enough. Sometimes you feel like, oh, can I get another 2 days? And a lot of times it's unlimited. A lot of times you take unpaid leave and so on and so forth. And mind you, the new generations, the millennials, the Gen Zs, right? They like flexibility, right? And that's why I think it involves a lot of mindset change. We decided to boldly just move forward and say, no, we will do it to the management team. But of course, we didn't execute this across the organization. We started with the senior managers, the senior leaders, right? So we started a group of people, which comprises about 20% of the exam staffs. So we started with them. We did a pilot for a period of about almost almost about 4 months, and we actually saw the trend, we saw the insights, we saw the feedback, right? um, to our surprise, no one actually manipulated the system, right? People were still within the complied numbers, and it went very well, right? And sometime in the second quarter of this year, we expanded this to the mid-level management. And right now, we are probably in our third quarter. We actually did some analysis and so on, and I anticipated at least 1 or 2% of the population to overuse it, right? But at the end of the day, people are accountable. When you create an empowered workforce, right? People take accountability, right? And surprisingly, in a manufacturing environment, no, we have not seen anyone there are outliers, right, that continues to take 1 month, 2 months leave and so on. Because what matters most when you're actually driving this is really the change management effort, right? So as an organization, we need to make sure we communicate to all the leaders how to go about it. We need to make sure that training is provided. Of course, when we tell the leaders and when we tell the employees, okay, unlimited leave, go ahead and do it. But at the same time, we will still be watchful. If, for instance, in a job that, if we see someone that takes 3 or 4 months leave in a year, then my question to the leader is, do you really need the job? Right? Or if that person does the person have enough job to do, right? So we just need to strike a balance, right? And that is where I think the change management part is important, where the communication is very critical. We need to set clear parameters and expectations, and make sure that we drive this in a very open manner, right? And one thing we realized when we actually launched this, we create a very strong organizational culture of trust, right? And this is so important, right? That people feel that, okay, if I take leave, I don't have to be fearful about what my manager think about me, right? If I want more leave, I need a break. I'm not responsible to to justify myself, right? So that's one part of it. Second part is, of course, when we first started, remember I said that we started with the senior leaders. They need to lead by example, right? It starts with them, because once they are convinced, then it's easy to roll out to the organization. So the plan is, by this year, we have started with the senior level, mid level. By end of this year, we want to do it for all exempt staffs. So keeping our fingers crossed that things will work well. But so far, from a statistical standpoint, Shireen, I remember I wanted to share the statistics. Thankfully there was none who actually went out of the outliers, because we monitor every month. My HR team is looking at is there any outliers, are there people deviating, and so on, so far I think people, when they are empowered, they take accountability. And that's where I think the organization where we created the culture of trust really matters. And net it was a win-win, right? From an employee standpoint, from a company standpoint, it's actually a huge savings from a financial standpoint as well.
Mm.
So then you don't have any carry forward leave, anything, nothing, no such thing lah.
we,
cut
we we
off,
stopped
like
all this carry forward. Of course, there was a lot of whine and grind, right? How could you stop this and so on? I was like, this is not healthy, right? You guys, you're supposed to take leave to take a break, right? Everybody need to have a break so that they are able to re-energize themselves. They are able to, make sure they spend some time with their families and so on. Sometimes they tend to forget, especially in a manufacturing environment. It's a very stressful environment, right? Especially when loading are high and things like that. So people end up not taking leave. So obviously, I have to admit that there was so much of resistance because people have this sense that, hey, you know what, I have 30 days of leave that is carrying forward, 40 days of leave that is carried forward. But
okay,
at the end of the
very
day,
good.
you create a burnout to the company,
Yep.
and more importantly, the burnout is really creating a lot of retention issues. Yeah. So yeah, I think there will be resistance, but sometimes in HR we just need to be able to push it forward and drive it accordingly.
So far you have no abuse cases that have abused the usage, Shankar?
I think he froze for a moment. I'm also
Yeah.
wondering, his topic has created fire. I see two other questions coming in also, but
Yeah, I see. Yeah, two questions here. Oh, we lost
yeah,
him for a while. I think he's rebooting.
I'm also curious whether new joiners in the company gets it or after they finish their probation and then they get like 1 year in the company or 6 months in the company and then they
Yeah.
start
When will
on
they be when will they be entitled for it? But it's very interesting concept. Like it builds very strong trust. Okay,
yeah.
sorry, Shankar, we lost you for a while. My question was, so far you have never recorded any abuse.
No, as of yesterday, that's why I double checked with my HR folks. No abuse cases. Like I said, I thank them for, really putting through a very strong change management effort. Of course, it wasn't easy to communicate and influence the management team because, to them is how are we going to run operations? How are we going to run production? And normally, normally people think about the complete outliers, right? What if people abuse it? But I always believe that even if there's an abuse, right, there's going to be less than 1% or 2%. But this is a real great effort. I'm not going to stop a great effort just because of that 1 or 2%, right? But
Well said.
thankfully, because of how we drive that, there has not been any abuse cases. Right now, we are still going forward to people and say, please take leave, right? You're not taking enough leave.
Mm.
So we are having more data where we are having discussions with our leaders to really encourage people to take leave.
Yeah, so that you don't
Yeah.
create there is no burnout in the company because you need a
Right.
balance of it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
we
Exactly.
have we have a few questions, but let me take the one from Ng Cheng Neo first because that's leave related. That is about leave required to be approved by higher management. How do we make sure that it's unbiased?
So when it's unlimited leave, generally, there is no approval required. They have to apply in the system, right? So they apply in the system, and of course, as part of the process, they need to notify their leaders and managers when they're going on leave, right? So personally, there's no approval required, just a notification to the leaders. And I believe we are all a matured society. We need to believe in our people. We need to make sure that everybody is accountable, and thus, no specific approval is required. Just like how we used to do in the past, right? Someone have to apply for leave, and then someone have to approve. Then they can get it. So when we go into unlimited, there's no approval. So this further fosters greater communication between individuals and their managers, right? I always talk to my manager and I said that, hey, Alex, next month I'm going to take 2 days off, while I'm not around, but just, rest assured things will be working on fine. But right at the same time, I just want you to know that these 2 days I will not be around. And right now, if he has a serious concern, he say, no, Shankar, I really need you, then we can think about it, right? So
Yep.
we encourage employees to be talking to leaders, but there's no approval required from leaders.
Very good. I think that's the best. More of communication. It encourages but constructive communication in the organization. Very good. Very good.
And
And let's
accountability.
remove Correct. And let's remove bureaucracies. I think sometimes in HR, we are the biggest enemies of ourselves, right? Processes, there's so many checkpoints. There's no a trust system, right? And we need to start somewhere, right? Obviously, we cannot plan something and we don't overthink or over engineer based just because of abuse situations, right? So that's
Yes.
where I think when people abuse, I think we need to have a process, right? How do we engage, with individuals who abuse the system, understand from them, work towards it. And like I said, we do have a policy, we do have guidelines, but when there's abuse cases, then we have to sort of review and see how we want to make sure that things doesn't get abused. But it's always an agile environment, right? We learn as we go. We don't want to have a foolproof system, because nothing is foolproof. Because people are very smart. They know where the loopholes are. So as you understand where the loopholes, start embracing and make the changes along the way.
Correct. Shankar, we have got many questions coming in. So the next one, probably we have to keep the answers a little shorter. Shireen, over to you.
I think Shankar has pretty much answered Tahira's question. But if you want to add to it, Shankar, here her question is, what are the measures that we put in place to avoid misuse of unlimited leave? Is there any measures
So
that you
So, like I said, is the change management is very important. Of course, when we communicate to employees, we say that, hey, okay, you guys can take the leave. But again, we also let them know that we will be tracking, right? We'll be tracking when employees are taking leave, how often they're taking leave, and of course, we have data and statistics.
Yeah.
And we also say that, just like at the example I gave just now, that if people take, in a month they take 2 weeks of leave, there's a question in terms of whether the role is required or that person have enough job to be done, right? So we do not want to go into the details, but bottom line is, we say that we empower you. It's good to empower, but we will also do the checking, right? And as we check, we will work on it on a case-to-case basis.
Very well done. Very well done.
All right. So then, Ajit, maybe let's go back to our first area, which was pretty much on embracing the shift in HR. I think Dexter has a question on it. You want to
Yep.
take that one?
Yeah, Ken. Dexter's question is about how can organization ensure that AI does not perpetuate discrimination in hiring, promotion, and also performance evaluation.
So personally, I would think that that when you use AI, there's no biasness, right? Unless in your own prompting message that you say that, hey, you know what, I'm only looking for a female employee. Hey, you know what, I'm only looking for someone with this, this gender, right? Oh, hey, I'm looking for that. Then there will be biasness, right? So it's very important that when we do our prompting using AI, we actually stay focused in the requirements, in the skill sets, in the capabilities, in the behavioral traits, right? And that's when the AI will be very effective to provide you with the right insights and inputs. So I always personally believe that biasness comes from us if we actually input the wrong prompting to it, right? If you put that you
Correct.
want certain gender, if the AI will do it for you, that's when the biasness will come in. So we need to be very careful in terms of how we prompt AI to get those requirements.
The
So it's
prompt.
about the prompting. Yeah, you don't prompt discriminatory prompts, then it becomes very fair. Very good, very good. Thank you.
I think first thing to put into the prompt is to ask AI, please give me 100 words that are discriminatory in the HR or in the recruitment. Then all those that come out, you make sure you don't use those words. Safe.
Correct. So
No?
that is why, Shireen and Ajit, one very important skill set for HR for the future is, and I wouldn't say future now, right? It's really prompting, right? Prompt engineering, and it's really fun, right? It's just like Googling. When we want to find some information, we Google, right? But right now, we are able to use AI to enhance our understanding, to do the right thing for us, and it's really fun, but we need to use the right prompting, the right choice of words, and so on. And based on our prompting, that's where AI will be able to give us the best solutions, right? So prompt engineering is a skill sets and capabilities that I would say a must for all HR in the future.
Agreed.
Okay.
Thank you so much
So
for that.
HR guys, you heard that loud and clear from the mouth of Shankar. So let's move to the next. I see we are at 1:45, which is amazing. Let's move on to the next area, which is on upskilling for future. I mean, talking about upskilling as a training provider, it is really high. So, Shankar, continuous learning is becoming essential in today's fast-paced environment, right? How can HR departments create a culture that prioritizes ongoing education and learning for the staff?
So let me share with you a very recent situation that we had in my current company. Right, we do see that for a certain point of time that we are losing some talents. So in a normal HR world, when we talk about talents, people talk about, oh yeah, key talents, right? And then of course key talents, you have all the insights in terms of their past performance and so on. But what we embarked in is we actually focused on critical talents, right? Key talents is no longer important. Like I used to tell my team members that, hey, you know what? In HR, I may be a key talent, but I may not be a critical talent, right? And when I'm talking about critical talent, if I'm having that entrepreneurship mindset, right, I would, I want to make sure that I sustain and retain people who are single source, right? They have the single capability, who's doing that job. We can't afford to lose that person. A person who is and that person can actually be from an operator level right to a director level, right?
Hmm.
So a critical talent may not be a key talent, right? That's very important
Yes.
factor.
Yes.
Number two, someone who has very niche capability, that if I lose that person, and if I hire someone, it takes us at least 6 months to a year to really accelerate and go back to norm, right? So we actually embarked into a situation where we actually spoke to the management and say, hey, who are our critical talents in the company? And everybody was scratching their heads, and to them is key talent is critical talents. And my HR team went, reached out to the management team, explained to them what critical talent is all about. So um, I think in the first instance, everybody came up with a laundry list of names, and I was like, "This is not critical talent. Everybody is not critical, right?" And that's where you need to be able to push back. And of course, with a population of about almost 3,000 employees, finally we came up with a number of about 150, and those are really critical, right? Like from operator level right to some managerial levels, right? The next thing we do is, what do we do to sustain and retain these critical talents in the organization? Number one, remuneration is not everything. Of course, we need to check that whether they are on par of market or ahead of market. If they're below market, is there something that we can do to make sure that they stay competitive and don't tend to lose? But secondly, is what are some of the learning and development programs that we can actually embark in, right? And what we have done is we have embarked in many certification programs, right?
Okay.
Training is not about just taking something from a program from outside and just deliver it, and people come, rah rah, go back, and they forget about it, right? So we partner with premier universities. We tell them that this is what we want to grow these folks up, leadership capabilities, and we make it a certification program. So when people come into a certification program, they feel like, wow, I'm so proud, to be certified, right? Of course, it's like, upon completion of the certification program, there will be graduation and so on and so forth. So that is where I think in the new world, it's important for us to look at what are the critical talents and work, have some learning and development program to make sure that we continue to retain them, not only from a compensation standpoint, but from a learning and development standpoint. Secondly is, once we have that critical talents as HR practitioners, we should be working with each of the leaders to de-risk these critical talents, right? When I talk about de-risk, we need to have a strategy where every critical talent, there need to be a potential successor. The successor may not be available now. The successor may be available 1, 2, or 3 years down the road, and all these critical talents are accountable to accelerate these successes, right? And we need to make sure that we reward them as the successes continue to improve and enhance themselves. And that's why I'm talking about de-risking critical talents, right? And this is a very important thing that we work through. As far as I know, most organizations across the globe, right, everything is about key talent, right? So it's time to shift now into critical talents.
Mm.
The other thing that we did was, which I thought it was very interesting, was we actually did a qualitative and quantitative approach, right? So when we did a qualitative and quantitative is when we actually reached out to all these critical talents and we talked to them about what is working, what is not working in the organization, and what can we do better, right? So we compiled. We have multiple sessions. We engaged someone, a consultant, to come in, and we actually got all this information in. It's all written, right? What works well, what doesn't work well, what we need to start. And there is, if you actually feed all this information into the tool, wow, it's able to tell us exactly what is the gap in the organization, what are the top two, three things that we need to focus on, and how can we drive that, right? And that's why I'm talking about qualitative and quantitative approach, because we don't want to second guess about what is required, what training is required, right? We need to make sure we support that with data and insights, and that is very critical. And I'm very proud with what my HR team has done, where every training program that we do is connected back to our qualitative and quantitative approach, and we do it in a very scientific way. So not only driving training, learning and development just because we need to put a tick in the box, but there is a ROI to it, right? And I remember when we first came in, our utilization in HRDF was about less than 20%. Today our utilization is almost 90%, right? And HRDF is so excited, say, Shankar, what do you do, right? I say we need more money now. We don't have enough money, right? So using the money in HRDF for the right reason, and of course connecting that with the organization goals, I think that is very important.
Very good.
Great,
Very good.
Shankar. I need to come and sit down with you over dinner and extract that. How did you go from 20 to 90%?
Yes, yes. We had a visit from HRTF just about 2 weeks ago, and said they came back and they said, how do you guys do it, right? And we shared with them openly, right? And that's where I thought about, driving more certification programs, connecting with universities, and focusing on experiential learning versus just training delivery. Everybody needs to have an experiential learning, focusing on real case studies and so on. And that's where the learning actually comes in.
Awesome. That's great. In fact, I have some more questions related to this area, but let me ask you Dean's question first. He's back to the leave policy. I tell you, your unlimited leave is really
Correct.
expanding people's minds, okay?
So much of attention on that leave policy.
Yeah. When the people at culture event also, it was like, what? So many jaws dropped, and I mean, look, people are really eager to know about this. So he says some may take advantage on the unlimited leave policy, like you mentioned just now, Shankar, leading to productivity issues. So his question is, how can organizations set clear guidelines or expectations to prevent misuse while still maintaining the flexibility of the policy?
So like I mentioned earlier, right? We do not want to create too much of autonomy. HR is not going to be policing every single employee, right? But what is important that we always need to have a checkpoint. On a monthly basis, the HR team look at leaves that are taken by employees. We also connect that with operational issues, because first and foremost, all this is also being shared shared during the management review meetings. Number of employees taking leaves, and how is this impacting operations? Is it impacting quality? So the checkpoint is very important, right? I don't believe in over engineering. Like I said, right? Sometimes we in HR are our biggest enemies. If you just put in too much of, the moment you put too much of policies, too much of guidance, who's going to do the job? HR is going to do. And do we add value? We're just checking and checking and checking just because of that 1% abuse, right? But having said that, we still can't be complacent. We need to do audits on certain point of time. We need to make sure that we check, we communicate with the operations leaders in terms of, hey, do you see any abuse happening? Is there any impact in the production? So that feedback loop is important, with the stakeholders. And number three, obviously, using data on a monthly basis to look at, is there any deviation, right? In terms of people abusing, and how is that impacting the production and operations. So in summary, I would say that do not over engineer it. When you over engineer it, then you create a lot of bureaucracies, then it doesn't make sense. Remember, the intention is to empower people, and make sure that they are accountable. If people are abusing it on a case-to-case basis, we need to address that from an HR standpoint because everybody abuses it in a very different manner. Um, I wish I can share with you abuse cases, but I don't know whether Lumilex employees are so compliant, but they have been very compliant. There is zero abuse case. I was like, I wish there's one or two abuse cases so that I can share with you all. But like I said, I still applaud the change management efforts that my HR team has actually done, and I am very thankful to them.
They have a good leader, that's why.
Yeah, Lisa Chong commented because we cannot believe company is willing to implement unlimited leave. You see, Shankar, people don't believe. Okay,
people are shocked, Shankar.
Yeah,
So you see, right? In the US, in Europe and US, this is common, right? The society, this is actually a stigma in Asia generally because they feel people have to be in the office. They feel people have to be clocking in and clocking out. So that is where trust system has to start. We need to start somewhere, right? And I hope with a manufacturing company like us starting and embarking, more people can actually embark that because once it becomes a practice, a best practice, they can actually reference us as an organization and go back to the management. If Lumilex can do it, why not them, right? I was skeptical.
Correct.
I was afraid because we are manufacturing, right? Manufacturing people have to be on site and so on, right? It's easier to do it in a shared services environment, support functions. But manufacturing, it's a challenge. But we made it, right?
Made it, yeah. And Lisa Chong is willing to work in your company. Yay!
Now Lisa can go back to her company and say, see, Shankar's company can do it. Why can't we? It's time for me to take over the responsibility and let's implement it in our company too. So more companies will be able to get this.
Come over to Lumilex. I mean, more than happy, right? Shireen, if you can arrange, we can arrange a HR meeting in Lumilex. I can get my team to share with them, right? We are very open about it. What's the policy? What's the guidelines like? And I think this is a great thing that we can actually embrace in Malaysia, right? We need to change the culture, the mindset. Like I said, right, when I first brought it up, when my director brought it up, they probably would give you some cyanide and say this is suicidal, right? But we influenced, we pushed it, and we said, okay, let's not implement across, but let's start stage by stage. Let's start with the senior managers, and then we moved on to mid-level managers, and now we are ready to move on to the rest of the organization.
That's
okay,
wonderful.
Shankar, last question. We are left with 5 minutes.
Ajit, one second, Ajit. Echoing what Shankar just said just now, because he's opening his Lumilex doors to anyone who wants to learn. So I like to give this privilege to any of the audiences today. If you all are interested and want to make a visit to Lumilex and visit Shankar and his team to learn about this further, drop me a PM. I will arrange it. And then we all go together. Okay? Because we don't want one by one.
Love to host you all, and I can get my team to share all this insights with you guys.
Yeah.
We also expect makan,
Boleh. Malaysian Penang makan very sedap.
Yeah, guys, drop me a PM on LinkedIn and let me arrange it for you guys. All right? Okay, Ajit, sorry for interrupting. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Last question, Shankar, but we only have about like 2 or 3 minutes, so we have to really keep it short. But I want to talk about this. This is about measuring success. What can we do to measure success? How could HR measure success when they're implementing digital evolution strategies and human-centric policies? Like for example, unlimited leave and upskilling and what would be the right thing to do a measurement?
I think it has gone. I mean, we focus on number one. I think very critical is retention of critical talents. I wouldn't say any more key talents, right? How do we retain our key talent, our critical talents, and how do we de-risk our critical talents? We need to come out of a situation where we are always choked about what if someone leaves, right? So critical talents, retention, and de-risking them. Number two is, we need to also look at every effort that we put in HR. what is the outcome, right? From a revenue standpoint, right? If the company is, productivity and revenue is increasing, that's where we need to correlate all our activities. I always tell my team members, right? Every actions that you're doing, every efforts you're doing, if it's not related to the bottom line, forget it. Don't even do it. We don't have time to be doing the nice to have kind of activities, right? So every effort that you put in has to be an outcome that, like I said, right, critical talent project, competency-based projects, and so on. It has to have an outcome. So I wouldn't want to give a laundry list, but these are the two most important things that I would think that is really important and critical if we are able to sustain the organization to the next level.
All right, that's great. Wow, Shankar, that was short and really sweet because, wow, we've really run out of time. It's been a very exciting time.
Me is 2 minutes, right? So that's why I can talk for the whole day, right? But he reminded me 2 minutes.
Honestly,
Thank you.
Shankar, we've got so many more questions which we will come to your place. But since we've come to the end of the show, before we end, Shankar, would you like to tell the audience what your LinkedIn is so they can join you on LinkedIn if they have any further questions?
Yeah, you can just go into Shankar, SHANKAR, space Nagalingam, NAGALINGAM.
Okay, great. That's great. And guys, it's also in the ticker below. I think my team has put it in. And we also like to thank the audience for joining us today and asking such amazing questions. They've really been very engaging. It was an amazing session. 1 hour. It didn't feel that it just finished. Right? So thanks so much, Shankar. And to our audiences, stay tuned on our Compass Mind social media page for our next upcoming episode, which is next month. If you are a HR or L&D manager and you're looking for any training or also want to visit Shankar's place, drop me an email at training@compassmind.com and we'll be happy to assist. So till we meet you all in our next episode, I want to wish all of you happy Mardeka.
Thanks, Shankar.
Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye, everyone.